Howdy, all from balmy Buffalo.
Can everybody just stop complaining? It's the winter.
I know. I wish people would stop complaining about that. I wish people would stop complaining about the attendance right now because, it's justified. People are looking at the first 2 days and they see, Canada played Slovakia yesterday and the crowd was sort of underwhelming. But okay, it was a Wednesday night with the temperature in the single digits, and I continue to say, and we'll find this out on Friday. I think that the outdoor game, the effect of the outdoor game, is to suck the money from the other preliminary games.
Yeah, and look, the outdoor game's not going to sell out. We know that.
No, they're closing. At best, they're closing off the upper deck. I think they limited the seats to 40,000. So you're probably going to have a lower bowl.
Well, and that makes sense because they're shoveling out seats anyhow. People are getting paid $11 an hour to do it.
Right. but that
you can get out there, Mike, for $11 an hour if you want to make extra money.
No, I'm not gonna. I'll probably die in those seats if that happened. No, but that, see, I think that's the cause.
Hey, you could have died in those seats at any one of a number of Bills losses over the years.
I don't go to Bills games. I'm not stupid. No. But I think that's the cause and effect. We've had 3 Canada or U.S. games, and the attendance for all 3 of them have been underwhelming. I think that the dollars went towards that outdoor game, and then and I talked to somebody yesterday, and they said these crowds are comparable to what were in Toronto and Montreal a few years ago. So I mean, and I don't know what.
Funny thing, everybody, while they're making a big deal out of nothing, I'm getting texts. What time is the game on Friday? What time is that outdoor game? People are going to watch that game.
Yes, 3 p.m., folks. 3 p.m. Yes. Two things about about the World Juniors, or just observations or things that I thought were humorous yesterday. Anybody who knows the press box in Buffalo knows that it's cold.
Yeah,
but and I got my first taste when I first got a credential for an NHL game. It was in Buffalo. I went to this Leafs Sabres game. This was maybe 4 years ago, and a reporter for, at that time, Sportsnet walks into the press box wearing a parka. Now I thought obviously he's going to take it off and put it on the chair. No. He kept the parka on. He kept the ear muffs on, and I
don't do that. Like.
It was that cold, Russ. You really have
to. No. Listen, I go to Baker Rink. Baker Rink is colder. Trust me. There is no insulation in Baker Rink.
Well,
here's the thing. I will go there with the parka, but I will also have like a pullover. Like I just got a Columbia pullover, right? That's got a little bit of insulation in there. And I'll wear like a long sleeve shirt under that, and I'll wear that, and I'll run around the building with that, and then I'll put on my parka when I leave. Trust me.
So, and
now, will I have gloves on? It's possible, but I'll probably have my hands in my pockets.
No, I have the gloves with the fingerless gloves.
Yeah, I've got texting mittens. Same thing. Yeah. It's like they're fingerless, and then you'll pull them over, and then
I have the exact same thing. The top half of the glove folds over and it's got Velcro on it. It's a little clumsy.
It is. Mine doesn't have Velcro. It's got a little loop. But yeah, those things I started to use when I started to cover Winter Classics because of the texting and wanting to keep up with the information, but not wanting to freeze to death.
But it was in unison. It was like I had my long winter coat on, and other reporters that I know, all of them had their jackets on. One had their toque on, and to the point, Russ, I went to not the concession, but I went to the apparel store at KeyBank Center looking for. I wanted to get an IIHF, a World Junior hat. The emblem has got Buffalo on it. It's real nice. I wanted to get a hat. I want to take a guess how much the hat was going for?
$35.
$40.
Wow.
Needless to say, I was not wearing a hat in the press box. The other little amusing note. During the game, it was Canada and Slovakia. It was a 6-0 game. We'll just talk about it briefly after we start the show. But Slovakia is, I think, in the bottom third of this tournament in terms of talent. Yep. They really didn't match up well with Canada. Their goalie played pretty decently, but Canada. Yeah, Canada just was skating him into the ice. And Canada gets up a couple goals, and we start to hear their goal song. And their goal song is a cover version of a song from the early 60s, which was most prominently used on the movie Dirty Dancing. I was an usher at a movie theater when Dirty Dancing was out, and it's one of the most annoying movies ever made. And it just, to me, a terrible movie, but I'm sure other people love it. I think it was Jordan Kyrou comes out after the game, and one of the reporters said, "What do you think of the goal song?" And he says, "I think we're changing it." And the thing is, somebody else asked him who decided on the goal song, and he would not throw either a teammate or the coaching staff under the bus. But they're changing the goal song, especially for. I mean, Russ, I was going to boycott the Canada-Denmark game on Saturday if they didn't change that goal song, because hearing that thing 12 times was pretty annoying. Anyway, all right, let's get the show started. Hello, Hockey World. Today is Thursday, December 28th, 2017.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Michael Agello, and this is the HockeyBuzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. So we'll just talk briefly about the game last night. It was not much of a game. Canada, as I said, wins 6-0 over Slovakia. They're now 2-0 in the World Junior. The U.S. play tonight against Slovakia, which first, Canada, Russ, I mean, they're emphasizing the fact that they're a multifaceted offense, and you could really see that. Yesterday, they relied mostly on their power play. They got 3 power play goals. Guys like Kyrou, Sam Steele, Taylor Radish, a lot of offensive talent, but there's not one superstar that is the focal point of that team.
No, I mean, I would say Radish is probably the hottest right now because he's scoring goals like from crazy places. He had that goal the other day where it was almost like a Caddyshack knocking it in the what was his name, Ty Webb. It was almost like a Ty Webb shot. Just the way he sort of turned around, hit it, and it just went in. It was
a knuckleball. It was a knuckleball.
Yeah, and it shocked Pekka Luukkonen. And then yesterday, I think he was in the crease for the deflection. He's everywhere. So Radish is great right now, and they need that. Kyrou he's like the glue, but he's never going to be like a high scoring guy. Steele was right place, right time, which is usually what Sam Steele is. And so he got a nice goal off a rebound rather. But I'm still not overwhelmed by their offense. No. I'm underwhelmed.
No, and that's why I think they're emphasizing their, all 4 lines in the first 2 games have scored at least a goal. Their power play is operating at a 50% clip. Everything is going well right now, but and they played. Finland is a pretty decent team, although they played badly.
I think Finland was askew in that game. I'm expecting to see better things.
Right, I'm going to see them today at noon.
Yeah.
But I know one of the concerns right now is Jake Bean took a big spill into the end boards.
Yep.
I think it was late first period or early second.
Yeah.
It was early second. And he came off the ice. Now, they said he didn't have to go into concussion protocol, and he came back later in the game. But he's a little wobbly, and Clegg was scratched because of an injury. So going in, now they're,
now they have to rely on Fabro and hope he's 100%.
Right, and they apparently yesterday, looking at the time on ice, they stepped back a little bit on Fabro because they used him more than they wanted to against Finland because he was killing penalties. So you're the coach of Canada, Ducharme, was saying that all of them are available, all of them are day to day, so there's no danger.
Yeah, of course they're all available, but this is the worry for me for Canada is that outdoor game. You get one good shot against the boards,
right?
If Bean happens to have that same kind of shot, if it's outside,
right,
then it's a bad scenario, worse than it is now. And so they're already a little banged up.
Yeah.
I mean, just go back to that, what was it, 2012 Philly and Rangers in the outdoor game? think it was 2012.
Okay.
Maybe 2013. When Yager got that one hit against the boards, he never came back. He had literally, I think he had one shift in that game as a flyer. And so, that's what you worry about in these outdoor games, and it can really affect the tournament.
Now, Deschamps didn't think it's going to be a big disadvantage, but I think it could be the fact that for some strange reason the U.S., who I would assume has some control over the schedule. They played on the first day and they walloped Denmark.
It was 2012. All right, it's early, so my brain's working, but it's not working fantastic.
Yeah. They walloped Denmark on day one. Now they play Slovakia at 8 p.m. on the day before the outdoor game. So they're going to be getting done about 10:30. I know they're a bunch of young kids and they have a bunch of energy, but I think that Canada with a day off, it'll be third game in 4 nights, and it'll be same thing for the U.S. But playing a game at 8 p.m. before playing the outdoor game, I think is going to be a disadvantage for the U.S. And they're probably going to go with Ottinger tonight in goal, and then probably
it looks like Ottinger's been the guy who's tabbed for the outdoor game, but maybe Swayman goes again.
No, I think Ottinger's playing tonight. I think Woll's.
Oh, he's playing tonight. He's not playing the outdoor. Woll's playing the outdoor. Okay, so then maybe Swayman's going to play against the Slovaks. That's maybe what I would do.
You think Ottinger's the third? I mean,
no. There is only 2 games. I'm getting lost in games there. Yeah. So Ottinger will play against the Slovaks, and then
Woll will play against Canada.
Woll will play against Canada. Now, what's the next game after that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. That's the one I'm thinking. Maybe they would use Swayman if it's not a game that means nothing.
Yeah, depending on who they play. I think since they're playing in the same division as Canada, it would probably be Finland. I'd have to look it up, but yeah. Okay, so let's get to the NHL. And I have to start off with this. I mean, because it's we can't continue to say, oh, this is totally unexpected. This is surreal. It's now to the point where we're almost at the new year, and the Vegas Golden Knights are leading the Western Conference with 50 points. They win last night 4-1 over Anaheim. I saw the post-game commentary. Randy Carlyle wasn't too happy with the way his team performed, but yeah, I mean, Russ.
Where was that game played?
I believe it was in Anaheim.
It was in Anaheim, so that's a big win for Vegas.
Yeah, and Gibson was in goal, so you can't write it off on Ryan Miller. And I saw one of the Vegas goals as I was writing something last night, and Josh Manson just gives up the puck along the boards, and William Karlsson. There was a turnover, and the Vegas forward fed it to William Karlsson in front of the net, and Gibson had no chance. I mean, that's the thing that's the most surprising here. I mean, we thought, okay, there's a couple of good players like Marchessault and Neil had a history, but William Karlsson really, they're really. I
always liked William Karlsson, and I guess he really did need that chance to shine on his own. I always thought very highly of him, but he never really had that chance, and that's the thing. The one thing about Vegas is, everybody's getting this chance now.
Yeah.
Again, we'll see if it continues, but it is an amazing thing right now. I mean, it is.
I think McPhee is gonna. I think he's probably a shoe in for GM of the year right now. Either him.
Yeah, he pretty much could. You could pretty much phone that one in. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
No matter what happens.
Yeah, I know. Now Malcolm Subban played last night. I think now he's 8-2 or 9. It's either 8 or 2.
No, I think he's 9 wins.
9-2. Let's say 9-2. And now
that's what I'm telling you. It's amazing.
You pick him up off of waivers, and that people criticized them for trading Calvin Pickard, and then they had all those injury problems. But now you've got Fleury. Now you're set up with your potentially goalie of the future in Subban.
Yeah.
This frees you up next year if Fleury doesn't want to stay there long term with going into the final year of his contract, of reaping the whirlwind in terms of a trade if you want to trade Fleury, because there's so many teams out there looking for a number 1 goaltender.
Oh yeah, I mean they could trade him at the draft if he decides he wants to get traded, and they would get quite a bit. No, this is good news for Vegas. I mean, look, and Brandstrom looks great in the World Juniors, so that's good news for Vegas.
Yeah, Branstrom made a pass in that first game, and I know it's against Belarus, but Branstrom made a pass. I think it was setting up Elias Anderson for a goal.
Yeah.
That like everybody there's 1,500 people in the Harbor Center. Everybody went. I mean, it was just like, oh my god, oh my god, what a
everything's coming up aces, Mike.
Yeah. They should change their name to the Las Vegas 21s.
Yeah.
The Boston Bruins are arguably the hottest team in the NHL right now. The break didn't stop them. They beat the Senators 5-1. And
there was a guy a while back when the Bruins wasn't going that great that said, I think the Bruins will be in the thick of it and they'll be fine. And
yeah, I don't know who that was. He doesn't know anything probably. But
they're fine. The young talent is what's really that's what kept them going, and that's what's really energized them, I think.
Well, yeah, and like if you look at the box score yesterday, I mean, Dalton Heinen, Backus, who's back from injury, Grzelcyk with a couple assists. I mean, they're getting contributions.
That's what I'm saying about Grzelcyk. He just needed a chance. He's a really good offensive defenseman.
But it wasn't Pasternak. It wasn't Bergeron. It wasn't Marchand. I mean, we've seen this team in the past where it was that number one line, sometimes with Pasternak on that number one line doing all the scoring. And if they get a diversified offense, if they get some secondary scoring, they're going to be tough. Now, no team is going to stay as hot as they are right now, but they're healthy. They're hot. They're playing well. They're now tied with Toronto, and they've got a few games in hand on them. Toronto plays their first game back tonight against Arizona. So, it's going to be a battle between them and Toronto for second and third place, and there's just a wide gap between them and the rest of the Atlantic Division. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting. Nico Hischier scores a couple goals for the Devils, star of the 2017 World Junior. I'm going
to stop you there because this is funny.
Yeah.
So I do my weekly spot on Sirius yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I get asked the question, are the Devils for real?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, they are for real. And I explained why. I said, Bratt is still going to be good. I said, I can't tell you if Gibbons is going to keep scoring goals like that. I can't tell you. I said, but I can tell you that Nico Hischier has another gear, and we haven't really seen it yet because he's a young guy getting used to the league. Well, now I think we're starting to see the other gear in Nico Hischier.
Yeah, and it was very noticeable that early in the year, I mean, he was scoring, he was contributing, but it wasn't at a real high pace. And Bratt, jumped out of the starting gate and I think had 5 goals in the first week and a half.
Right.
Bratt slowed down a little bit, but he's still contributing, and now Hischier has become more comfortable. And they get Vatanen in the trade with Anaheim. He scored yesterday. Vatanen, I mean, he got top 4 ice time with Anaheim. He's going to get top 2 ice time with the Devils. And
the Devils are now, a real threat in the Metro, and you can't count them out of anything. And they are going to knock out at least one team who you thought might have, not you personally, but people thought might have made it instead of the Devils. And again, is it the Islanders? Is it, somebody's getting knocked out because of the Devils? Because I think they're making it.
Yeah, all 5 or both wildcard teams are coming from the Metro. I mean, I early
in the season, I wasn't sure if that was happening. And that's only because I said I knew the Bruins would wake up, and now the Bruins have woken up to the point where it's still not going to happen because they rocketed it up. So now I think it will all come out of the Metro.
But the contributing factor there is the downfall of the Canadians and the Senators. I mean, everybody thought that they would be.
Well, the Senators, they're done. I mean,
and we'll talk about them in a sec. Well, yeah, excuse me, they were the ones who lost to the Bruins.
Right.
But, yeah, no, I mean, and I think Ottawa's set up right now, not in the sense that they're going to trade Carlson in season, but I think you're going to see some pretty big names move out of Ottawa. I mean, there's obviously with the comments of Melnick before the break and their financial situation and the fact that now they're not winning. You could see a Stone who's an RFA. You could see a CC who's an RFA. You could see Hoffman with years left in his contract being moved out. So, and if there's somebody out there who would be willing to take on Dion Phaneuf's salary or Bobby Ryan's salary, that might happen as well. So I think Pierre Dorian has got his phone on the hook waiting for somebody to ring.
I think so too. I think that's where they're at right now. And it's a shame. I think I may have picked Ottawa to make the playoffs, just make it, and they're not gonna. And so this is going to be a year of transition for them. It's going to.
I picked them to finish 30th last year. I was off by a year, maybe off by a place or two, but my prediction finally coming true. Okay, now the Islanders are, I believe, they're still the second highest scoring team in the NHL. Their goaltending is ranked at the bottom of the league. In spite of that, I think I saw a stat that Halak was 6-2-2 in his last 10 games, but I think that's based more on the offense covering up for his sort of subpar goaltending than it is Halak standing on his head.
Right.
The Islanders were very lucky yesterday. Now, I didn't see this game. It was going the same time as Canada-Slovakia, but Sabres were leading late 2-1. Josh Bailey scores with a little over a minute to go, but the play goes on because they didn't know whether the puck went over the goal line or not. They stop the play, they review it. He gets the goal. They tie up the game late, and then Matthew Barzal apparently deked out Ristolainen so bad that it broke his ankles.
It was a great shot. It was a great wrist shot. I mean, does that goal happen if it's 5-on-5? Probably not. But that's what happens at 3-on-3. Barzal gets that little bit of extra room, and once he shakes off, Ristolainen, that's all he's got. I mean, so he had a fairly open shot, and there was nothing Leonard could do about it. But apparently in that game, Leonard complained about that goal that got reviewed after the game about Toronto. But there's a picture of him with the glove in the net, and it's over the line.
Right.
So it's just that's frustration now.
Okay, let me bring that up because, and I didn't make a big deal of it because before the break, because in the end Toronto won the game. But the play in the Toronto game where Lundqvist was in the goal, the puck was found in between his pant and his pad, his right pad.
Yeah, it got sucked into that top crease in his pads.
Right, and the thing was, he was inside the goal.
But they didn't have any sight of the puck. The difference is,
did they have any sight with Leonard? It was on his glove.
Leonard, you knew it was in his glove.
Okay.
Like where Lundqvist, you didn't know for sure whether it's in his pads, and so therefore you can't call it because you don't have empirical evidence. Now, we only knew that it went in through the pads after like 12 replays, and then they actually got it out. Even Lundqvist didn't know where that puck was.
Right. But
I mean, that was crazy.
Well, when they found out where the puck was, and then you saw that his entire body, other than his head and his arms, were inside the goal line.
Okay, but let's get back to something.
Yeah.
When we originally did this show, and we talked about goalies and goalie cams and all those things, the NHL has still not locked it down where they have like every angle in net, and goalies are magicians. A lot of goals that are over the line, they obscure view of, and they don't get called. Let's be real about that. We see it all the time. It's a normal thing.
Yeah, no,
I think if they put in a couple of more mini cameras from different angles in the crease, it would be harder for the goalies to do that.
Well, the angle that we saw with the Lundqvist play was the goal cam in the top of the crossbar looking down at the goal line. I thought they were supposed to put two along the goal line on the posts.
Right. I don't think they have that yet.
I don't think they have that one yet. But it's getting to the point now, Russ, where what they should do is just go to the tennis technology. Have the.
I think so. Yeah, you break the plane, and the light, the buzzer goes off, and that's it. And if they can't hear it on the ice, they'll hear it in Toronto.
Now, yeah. So now, from the Islanders' point of view, we're continuing to hear they're going to make some sort of moves before the deadline. Goaltending makes sense. I know that there was something in the hockey news yesterday saying that Aaron Dell would make sense for the Islanders, and the Islanders have a lot of offense to spare, so that would work. But
again, this Aaron Dell, like, just getting vaulted into stardom here is very premature.
I'm with you. I mean, like I said, last year I was saying Aaron who, and now all of a sudden he's being traded.
I've seen him play, and I've seen him play very competently. But again, we've seen other guys do this very competently. Like, look how good Grubauer looked last night. There's so many games where I see Philip Grubauer and say, wow, this guy is terrific. But then when he's had chances to make multiple starts, he's not as good.
Well, that was the weird thing. That was the next game I was going to talk about. That was the weird thing. I look at it as 1-0 shootout. Rangers beat the Capitals. I'm thinking, oh, this must have been a great goaltending duel between Braden Holtby and Lundqvist. And it was Pavlik and Grubauer coming out of the break. I mean, okay. Yeah. Really.
I think Pavlik's watched his shows because he's picked it up in the last 3 starts.
Yeah, it's funny because Pavlik got off to that really bad start, and you were saying, well, maybe they picked up Mazanik, to replace him because he was playing so badly. And then ever since that happened, he's been really good. Now.
I mean, sometimes you got to be pushed.
Yeah.
He played great. And last night he was fantastic. Another thing I did talk about on Sirius is, can Ovi get over sort of like the Ranger curse? He can't. No. He is terrible against the Rangers. His shootout shot didn't even hit the net.
Yeah, Alex Ovechkin would be the all-time goal-scoring leader if he played the Maple Leafs 82 times.
Right. But against the Rangers, he fades.
And against Pittsburgh, too, he disappears.
But here's the weird thing. The weirder thing is TJ Oshie is going up in the shootout against Pavlik, and he gets stoned. And we're like – and I'm thinking in my mind, wow, this is really bad for the Capitals. Like, Zuccarello scored on his, right? And you expect Zuccarello to score. He's one of the best shootout guys in the league.
Yeah.
But, when they counter with TJ Oshie, you're pretty sure that TJ Oshie is going to tie it up, and he didn't. And Zibanejad put him ahead in the shootout, and then Ovi misses the shot completely, like just completely misses it. But again, that's a weird situation too, because Ovechkin was in the penalty box when the overtime expired. The Rangers had a 4-on-3, and he's allowed to go in the shootout, and I hate that. You have no comment about that? You're just going to nod?
No. I agree.
No, I want to hear your thoughts on that, Mike.
Well, let's move on to the next game.
No, we're not moving on. What do you think about that? I think there's something that's wrong about that.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, the funny thing is,
you be penalized in a game and then be free to be used. 5 minutes, not even 3 minutes after.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I think there should be an adjustment to the rules that if a guy is in the penalty box at the end of the game, that he shouldn't be allowed to participate in anything. He's gone for the game. But I'm not sure the reason why, but. Yeah, that's sort of I don't know if that's like at the top of the agenda for the NHL to change some of the rules.
But it's just like
it's a quirk. It's definitely a quirk
that I don't think is fair because there's no running clock for the shootout, right? So you can't say, well, look, the time would have elapsed. It's just, hey, the time ran out in overtime. Now it's the shootout. Well, this guy should still sit in the penalty box and watch the shootout from the penalty box.
Or from the locker room,
No, from the penalty box. I keep him in there.
Like he's prisoner.
No, he's not prisoner. But like, how do you ever? I don't know. It's like you should stay in there for the duration of your penalty.
You're looking for a little negative reinforcement. It's like it's like being put in the corner with the dunce cap on. Yeah, okay, Alan.
By the way, I'm looking on NHL. By the way, I'm looking on NHL.com, and it said Alex Ovechkin, Washington save in the shootout. That puck went over the goalie. I don't believe it ever touched Pavlik.
Yeah. Okay.
Or whatever.
Yeah. So it has to be annoying for a team that the arch rival is somebody that has their number. And that just appears to be the case with the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, obviously the Penguins for most of the time have been the better of the two teams. But last night, Columbus leads 4-2 with about 10 minutes left to go in the third period. Malkin scores. Gunsel scores with about a minute and a half left in the third. And then Pittsburgh wins in the shootout 5-4. I can just imagine Tortorella. I didn't see the
I did. I saw it. He was cordial. He shook his head. He was asked a question, did he feel like it was the youngsters that did this? And he said, no, it was other players. If you looked at it, it wasn't the youngsters. So he So he didn't want to blame the kids, which is good. That's fine. But he held back his anger because that was a game they couldn't afford to do that because they already have a complex against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah,
and it was reinforced to Pittsburgh that we could just come back anytime against these guys.
And all roads lead through Pittsburgh. I mean, if they get into the playoffs, even if they're an 8 seed,
they'll be the worst. They'll be exactly like the Kings. They will be the worst team to face as an 8th seed. The worst.
And we're not going to go into the Letang stuff again, but I'm actually going to write about it regarding the Leafs and how I think that is a disaster zone that I think Lou Lamoriello will avoid because of Letang's injury history and the fact that he's got 4 years left in the contract. But Pittsburgh's going to make some sort of move. Rutherford always is proactive. He made a couple moves before the trade freeze. I think he's going to probably try to reinforce and get some forward help. That's what they seem to be focused, is looking for forwards, and they probably can get some rental guys before the deadline. So I think they're going to restock and try to.
They're going to be fine. I mean, they don't really care where they end up in the standings. This is one team where we can honestly say they don't care.
Yeah. Now, Montreal's struggles continue. They lose 3-1 to Carolina yesterday, and it was the Finnish explosion, Teravainen and Aho with the 3 Carolina goals. Notable, Russ, Cam Ward started, not Darling. And Carey Price gets the loss. Now, you've said, and I pretty much agree with you, and I've seen Scott Darling play twice. He hasn't impressed me at all. I'm not ripping the guy. I mean, if you get a 4-year contract offered for $4 million per season, you're going to take it. And it's up to Ron Francis to determine whether he's a number 1 goaltender or not. I'm skeptical, and I think that his play in the first few months has given rise to more people being skeptical. But they're still in a race here, and Ward is, even though he's older, is a proven commodity. So I think they have to go with Ward more.
I do too. I think this is their only chance, and you have him on the team. Darling's locked up, so all you're going to do is just make him want to play more. But right now, they need to win like 8 or 10 in a row, and you got to ride Cam Ward to do it, I think.
Yeah. Predators beat the Blues 2-1. I wonder, with the Blue, not to say that the Blues are gonna struggle, but without Fabry, and they've been without him for the entire year, but now without Schwartz for a lengthy period, it's going to be interesting to watch the Blues and see if they can operate at the same pace as they were doing over the first few months of the year.
I think they can. I mean, who was in net for that game? Well, Rene got the win. I saw Rene was in net for Nashville.
I believe it was Allen, but I'll check the box score here. That was one of the games that it was Allen. It was Allen.
Okay. So again, Allen certainly did well. This is a game where Nashville, I think, is proving to people now that they're a force. They're going to be a force in the West. They're going to possibly get to the conference final again. Nobody's going to want to face Nashville in the playoffs. Nobody. And
the last game we'll talk about was the Edmonton and Winnipeg. Winnipeg wins 4-3. But the concern here is Mark Scheifele was injured in that game. Left the ice favoring, I believe it was his shoulder. Did not return, and the comments after the game said that it's a potential to have long-term implications, but they were going to, see what happened, after he got examined today to see the extent of the injury. Now, I know that Edmonton has been hot ever since people focused on Edmonton in the recent weeks. They sort of turned it around. They played better on the road. They separated. And this is what I said, Russ. They separated Draisaitl and McDavid. They put Draisaitl as a center on the second line. They put McDavid with Lucic and Puljujarvi, and that's worked for them. And now they have more of a diversified attack. But in this game, and I only saw the highlights, the defense is even with Sekera back, the defense is still a concern.
They've given up 117 goals. They've only scored 111 goals. Just think about that for a minute. You have Connor McDavid on that team. You have Draisaitl on that team, and you've only scored 111 goals. Like, Colorado has scored more goals.
Well, you're not getting the offense that you got last year from Patrick Maroon. I mean, he was playing with McDavid, but he was contributing, and they're not getting, the top two lines, and Nugent Hopkins, I think, has had a pretty decent year, but you're not getting the depth of scoring that you did last year. And when all the weights,
they have a losing record at home.
Yeah,
that's really unacceptable.
Yeah, and especially for the fans in Edmonton who are paying big freight for to see those games in that brand new building. So yeah, just to give you the example, the difference in how seasons have gone. The Rangers started off so bad; they're 15-6-3 at home, but they haven't lost at home in a while. I think they're like 13-0-1. Like, I heard some kind of crazy stat at home lately in the last 15 games. It's like. And I know 13-0-1 doesn't add to 15, but I'm just saying as an example. Right.
I don't have that stat at my fingertips, but Edmonton is the opposite, and they can't keep rolling like that. Something has to change.
Yeah. Now,
5 points out, and here's the thing too, right? We have to start doing the math. The season now starts to become more playing against conference opponents, right? And so now it's harder to gain traction in the standings. I mean, when you lose, like when you win, if you're winning in the shootout, you're sharing with a division opponent, and then you don't get that far. And so like, you literally have to win a lot of regulation games against these teams that, are in your conference. And here's the thing. So they're tied with Minnesota for games played. They're 5 points behind. But really, to make up those 5 points, and I'm not a math major, but I'm guessing they'd have to do really, like almost undefeated in 9 or 10 games. And Minnesota would have to like win 2 of 10, something like that, to make up the difference.
Well, I think the most daunting task for Edmonton is the fact not only that, I mean, they're 5, like you said, they're 5 points out from the wild card. They're 6 points out from third place in their own division. But they have to climb over 2 teams that I think it will be very tough for them to climb over. One is Chicago. Now, Chicago is not the Chicago of the past, but they're still, they're
still in it.
They're still in it. They have Kane and Taves, and I know that Corey Crawford is
games in hand. They have 2 games in hand on Minnesota, 3 on Dallas.
Yeah, but the one factor, Corey Crawford went back on the injured list, so that means that Anton Forsberg and JF Berube are the goalies, and that could.
Hey, this is Forsberg's big chance. No joke. I mean, it is.
Yeah, they could that could really fumble their chances. And Anaheim is a point ahead of Chicago, and I think Anaheim is a playoff team now that everybody's healthy. They get Kessler back yesterday, even though they lost, so they're back to where they should be. Now it's going to take some time for all those players to sort of get back to the swing of things, but that's going to be tough. If San Jose drops out, they may be depending on Vegas to come back down to reality, which I don't know if is going to happen, but it's going to be a tough road to hoe for Edmonton. And if you,
good cliche, Mike.
Yeah, I think so. And if you look at the East, right now, okay, the Metropolitan Division is nuts. It's here, New Jersey 49, Washington 47, Columbus 47. Those are the top 3. The next two are the wild card teams, Rangers and Islanders, both tied with the exact same record, 44 points. And then it's Carolina 41, Pittsburgh 41, Philadelphia 38.
Yeah.
Nobody's out of it. Not even Philadelphia is out of it. And you're going to be getting. And like you said, you're going to be getting more head-to-head matchups in the next half of the schedule than in the first half usually. And then you look at the Atlantic Division, and there is a 9-point cavern in between third place Boston and Toronto, second and third place Boston and Toronto, and Montreal at 36, Florida at 35. The race in the Atlantic is, unless Carey Price stands on his head for the next month, is over with. It's over. So, all right, we will be back tomorrow.
Hang on, no. We got a couple quickie things.
Okay.
So in the Arizona-Colorado game, a couple of key things. So Sam Girard played, which I'm happy to see.
Yes.
I cannot tell you enough the disdain that I have for Zach Rinaldo. And look, I covered him here in Philly. He could be an okay guy. He can. But when you just simply go up to a guy like Girard, who clearly you're bigger than, and you just punch him in the face, this isn't slap shot, man.
On top of what he did to McKinnon before that.
Yeah.
This is the thing. When the suspension came down last night, it was like one of those things where I get a tweet on my phone, a little notification on my phone, and it said Zach Rinaldo suspended, and then it cuts off. I thought it was going to be 10 to 15 games based on the fact that he's been suspended before, and this was as close to a Bertuzzi type of surprise attack without the slamming Steve Moore into the ice and breaking his neck that I've seen. And they gave him 6 games. I think that George Peros and and the player safety department really dropped the ball here, because this is somebody. It doesn't matter if he's a fourth liner or if he's a goon or whatever. He's a repeat offender, and he did something that really had no context in the game. It was just a surprise attack. He should have been.
To be honest, if I owned that team, I would cut him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even let him serve his suspension. I would cut him, and just say basically that like he embarrassed us, because he did. He embarrassed the team.
Well, I don't know why he's there in the first place. Is this Tocchet? Is it, he has a relationship?
I guess Tocchet likes him. He can skate and he can penalty kill if that's what you're gonna, hold your hat on. But at this point, they're a rebuilding team. Just cut the guy.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. Now, it's nice to see Chychrun got on the scoreboard. He's been playing, and this is the second game that he's had points in. That's a nice sign for Arizona as well. So that's something that's good to see. Lawson Krause got his first goal of the year. I'd like to see those kinds of things pick up for them. So at least for next year, you look at the young talent and you say, okay, now I can sort of see it gelling.
There is a ton of talent there, but as I've said before, you've got situations on that team where if there's no direction, and right now I don't know what the direction is. I mean, you've got talent like Keller, like Chychrun. Dylan Strome has been up and back from Tucson a couple times. You've got those 2 defensemen. You've got Ekman Larsson and you've got Yarmolson, both with a year left in their contracts. And then you basically, as an organization, have to determine whether they want to stay around long term or whether they, are just going to avail themselves of the possibility of moving on and go unrestricted free agent a year and a half from now. And if that's the case, then before the deadline or in the summer, Chaika has got to decide, okay, do I just roll? Do I move them? Do I throw money at them? Yeah. And honestly, I think that they have to be proactive here, because if Ekman Larsson walks for nothing after next year, the organization loses out big time.
No, I agree. Here's the stats on Ronaldo. He's played 31 games, 3 points. He's a -7. He'll give you 4 or 5 hits a game. He doesn't really block any shots. He doesn't, do anything else.
Didn't they go down this road with Steve Downey? Isn't he just like another Steve Downey with less offensive talent?
Yeah, and at this point, I just don't know why he's around. He's got 11 blocks in the year, 5 takeaways, 4 giveaways. Like, I just, 2 faceoffs won, 9 lost. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's a bad look for Arizona. I don't know why he's on the team.
Yeah. All right, we will be back tomorrow with another edition of the Hockey Buzzcast. For Russ Cohen, I'm Michael Agello. Thank you for watching, and remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey.